Hi there, welcome to another presentation of the Globe Sound Healing Conference. Today we have Paul Hubbard. Hi Paul.
Hey David, how are you?
Good, how are you doing?
I'm good, thank you.
Paul Hubbard is the founder of the Institute for Holographic Sound and Inner Balance. He also has a PhD in psychology and a master's in business administration and religion. He's a multi-dimensional sound master working with the healing power of sound since 1991. Paul is a Reiki master, crystal grid worker, and he is certified in grief recovery, hypnotherapy, and is an addictions recovery coach consultant. His family counseling work has been mostly notably recognized by the presidential White House. He focuses now as an intuitive counselor working with the holographic healing vibration of sound and music in its multidimensional form, using vocal harmonics, toning, crystal singing bowls blended with traditional and conventional methods. Paul teaches throughout the U.S. and internationally, now in over 15 countries. He has also created and shared the stage with many leaders in the field, including Greg Braden, John Bradshaw, Tom Kenyon, Alton Camadon, Drunvalo Melchizedek, and others. Since 1976, Paul has been on a quest for truth, discovery, and consciousness expansion in all areas of his life. He has powerful connections to ancient Egyptian, Atlantean, and Lemurian mystery school teachings, as well as the New World mystery school teachings. He worked with the angelic realms, the Hathor energy of sound and love, the elementals, and other loving universal energies. Welcome, welcome. What have you been up to lately?
Oh, the usual. Just getting around trying to share the work and, keeping things afloat.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me ask you the big question we ask everybody, and that is, if you had all the money in the world, what would you do to help humanity?
That's a big question. And I believe for me there are a lot of answers to that. One is to be able to share the ability for humanity to heal itself. And of course, that would take money, to get out there to get all the potential opportunities to everyone that wanted it. And see, that's another thing too. It's like if everyone has to be open to accepting, to be able to experience the gifts that we give them. So that's what I would do if I had all the money in the world.
Uh-huh. Cool.
And of course, being a sound healing practitioner and teacher, that would be also on the top of my list. That's my passion.
Uh-huh.
So there you go.
Cool. Okay, what's your presentation about today?
Well, what I want to talk about is the power of holographic sound. The power being able to heal the body and to transform beliefs.
Cool.
So I can go into more detail, but I'll do that in the presentation.
Okay, great. Go ahead and begin. I
All
can't.
right.
Thank you.
So just to be clear about holographic sound healing, it's an energetic wave, literally, of the future as well as the present. Holographic sound is a method of opening sound through sacred geometry into its full potential, into its multidimensional form. So multidimensional form and holographic form are essentially interchangeable. They're one and the same. In doing so, we're able to create the most powerful energy frequencies for healing and for transforming consciousness. And so this is really what I want to get into today and share about, and then open everyone to an experience at the end to be able to do their own transforming through the sound vibration that we'll create. So as I mentioned above, holographic sound is creating through a blend of sound vibration and sacred geometry. And through this merging or blending, the holographic sound or multidimensional sound is created. And with this multidimensional sound, we're able to hit, or literally able to access, all levels of consciousness. including emotional, mental, and physical bodies. So, talking about sound, about the vibration of creation. And before I get into that, I want to share a little bit about how I ended up in this, doing this, and being in this kind of experience. So, my background, as David mentioned, is in psychology. And I've done counseling for many, many years, since the early 80s. And much of it has been around working with families and working with addictions. And toward the late 80s and on into the 90s, I began to focus more and more on working with the belief system and working in grief recovery. And the thing about the belief system is that, you know, everything we think, everything we feel, everything we do is all based on our belief system. It's all based on the system that we have created, that we operate from. So I'll come back to that. Well, actually, no, I won't. I'm going to keep with this. Back in 1991, I received a message from Spirit. And the message was, if you don't start using your voice, you're going to regret it for the rest of your life. And I knew it wasn't about speaking because I'd already been doing that. It was about vocalizing. And I wasn't sure exactly what path that was all about at the time. And the thing about using my voice for vocalizing, it terrified me. And now, I've always loved music. It's always been a part of my life, transforming for me. But yet to vocalize myself, that's, you know, that was a whole nother story. So back again in 91, a good friend of mine who was a musician, singer, pretty well known at the time, he needed some counseling, and I wanted some vocal lessons, and so we did a trade. And that got me on the path. That got me going into working with sound. And at first I thought it was about singing, and then I began to have personal experiences of transformative experiences as a result of the singing, or actually the singing began to morph into what we now call toning. And these experiences, as I began to go through this, I realized that the path wasn't so much about singing, it was about using sound for the purposes of healing. For healing emotionally, for healing physically. And so that, in the path becoming clearer to me, that made it much easier to move forward. So, and from there, moved on through around 1995, I discovered the crystal bowls. And I began to take and blend. I was doing work around grief recovery, around belief system work, shifting and transforming the beliefs. And I began to integrate the sound work along with everything else I was doing, because what I found was that the sound vibration would take everything to a new level. It allowed people to go deeper more quickly. It allowed them to, the sound helped to transform whatever needed to transform. And then on the end, anchor it in, the transformation that occurred, anchoring it into the person's consciousness so that they could live their lives from that point forward with the transformation that had occurred. So moving forward, in 1999, I took my first group to Egypt, and that's something I've been doing ever since. I go virtually every year and take groups over to experience the sacred essence of Egypt and of the temples, of the Great Pyramid. And at the end of that first year, I had a very transformative experience. And some of my guides that are known as the Hathors, which I might talk about later, they're fifth-dimensional masters known as Masters of Sound and Love. And they are some that work with me with the sound vibration. So anyway, at that point, that's where the holographic sound essence began. That's where it was born or birthed in this day and time. Now, not to say that it hasn't existed in past time, because it has, but we lost that ability for many, many thousands of years and just began to regain it around 1999. So, back to sound in general. You know, sound vibration, sound, it's existed forever. The universe was formed through sacred sound. And you might remember in the writings of creation, it says first was the Word. The Word is sound vibration. And then from the Word, all things were created from this vibration. And in the writings, it says all things were created. The thing is all things still are created through the sound vibration. There's an ancient phrase in the Vedas. If you're not familiar with the Vedas, it's an ancient text. It was found in India, predates both Bibles. And this phrase that's mentioned in the Vedas is Nada Brahman. And what that means is the world is sound. The world is sound. And if you look back at our indigenous cultures, everybody used sound for transformation, for all the indigenous groups were using sound for birth, using sound for transformation from childhood into adulthood, using sound for purposes of healing, and for thrills, events, and for death. The most powerful sound vibrations for moving energy and healing that we have available to us are vocal sounds, toning and chanting. Why is this? Because we are a living instrument. We're a living energy. And because of that, we are the most powerful creator of sound that's available to us. And that's another reason why the crystal bowls are so powerful, because crystal is a living energy. And when we take and blend the energies together, you know, we transcend all bounds. There's no stopping us. So in ancient times, the Egyptians, they knew how to use vowel sounds to resonate their energy centers, to resonate the chakras. And I'm not going to talk more about that right now in this presentation, but I will be offering, having an offering for everyone upon completion of this presentation. And that offering is a portal into higher dimensional consciousness through the holographic Merkaba light body. And this is a holographic sound activation. And this is something that I'll be offering for everyone upon completion of the presentation. So, back to the sound. I'm sure you're familiar with Edgar Cayce and Rudolf Steiner. Steiner was a German philosopher, educator, and artistic genius. They both predicted that pure tone will be used for healing before the end of the 20th century. And that's clearly happened. And my sense of their prediction is that they were looking to mainstream society accepting sound as a healing vibration. And I believe that's what their prediction was referencing, is that we would open up to the possibility by the end of the 20th century. Because the truth is pure tone has been used for healing forever. Forever. Nostradamus foretold of healing cancer through pure tone by the year 1998. That's clearly happened. I've had personal experiences in working with the holographic sound. I worked with a woman up in Vancouver, Canada. She had been diagnosed with 4 tumors in one of her breasts. And as a result of the holographic sound experience or session that we did, we dissolved all 4 tumors. All 4, one session, dissolved all 4 tumors, and were able to document it scientifically or medically because of the fact that she had x-rays prior to. A couple of days later, we did the sound healing session, and then she went on to have ultrasound, and everything was gone. Everything was completely clear. And she's just one of many that have had experiences like that I've worked with. The holographic sound holds no bounds, no bounds. So one of the things that occurred in 1999 was that we had a transition or a transformation in our systems. You know, we've been on an incline in our vibrational energy since early Egypt. Actually, that's not true. We were declining in early Egypt and then went in and went through what we know as the Dark Ages, and then slowly, very slowly, began to rise again in vibration. Well, in 1999, we hit a pivotal point where our vibration took a leap. And in that leap, a lot of things changed. And this is something that will be hard probably for some to grasp. But the chakras began to exhibit higher vibrational energies. In other words, because of their energy increase, they begin to shift and change in color. And the chakras, as we've known them, the 7 major chakras within the body, and all sub-chakras answer to these 7 majors within the body, and then what we know is the oversoul chakras, which are literally, they make up the universe. They make up the divine essence. They make up the God essence, the oversoul chakras. There are 4 above the body and 2 below the body. And this energy transformation has brought us into a significant shift in our vibration. And as we begin to blend this experience, and this is something that I'll also offer in the offering later on, is an activation and acceleration of the unity chakra system. It's the unity chakra system activation. So, sound and its effect on the body. So this is how and why we're able to transform the body and emotions with sound. You know, we have a magnetic field, or actually many fields around our bodies. They're scientifically established, and this includes the aura, the auric field. The fields collectively hold all memory for the body, all memory of health, the vibrational memory for health of all parts of our bodies. It includes healthy tones for bones, for organs, blood, mental and emotional bodies, all held within our energy fields. So, in simple terms, when an organ or part of the body is vibrating out of tune or inharmoniously, we can tap into this field and, in essence, tune things up emotionally and physically. When things are inharmonious, what it means is we're not feeling well, we're out of balance. We might be physically ill, we might be dealing with emotional issues, sometimes mild, sometimes really serious. But nonetheless, we can still tap in to this energy field and tune things up and bring things back into balance. We remind the body of the health and wholeness, the balance and harmony that is present for us to ascribe to or to move into. And it's all about intention. and the sound vibration created. These are the two most important factors, one equally as important as the other. That's intention and the sound vibration created, the frequencies that are created. You can manifest, you can create and convey the specific vibrational tones and transform consciousness, transform emotion, transform your physicality through the sound vibration. Again, sound vibration and your intention, they're the most important factors. Always, always set your intention with unconditional love. And I stress unconditional. And what that means is we move into the experience without attachment, in a space of unattachment. And in doing that, we allow that higher vibration, we allow that spirit essence, that essence of God to move in and move through to create whatever is in our highest good. And again, unconditional love is key to the healing vibration. So, why do we do all of this? It's a process of ascension. And the thing about ascension, it doesn't necessarily mean that we're leaving this earth for another place. It's merely transforming or transitioning ourselves into a space where our vibration is at a higher frequency, dimension, or energy level. Ascension, it's expanding our consciousness to encompass not only our consciousness level at this point in time, but heightened vibrational and dimensional levels of being. The ascension or consciousness expansion process, it dramatically will increase as we gain greater mastery over our third dimensional existence. It's noticeable, and it's a very significant increase in the level of frequency vibration that we experience and that we hold. So, how do we move into this process of ascension? It's a path of mastery. A path of mastery. You know, a lot of times people think that mastery is about ascending through the crown. You know, opening the crown up and going into higher dimensions, into the etheric la-la land. That's not ascension. That's actually a trap. According to the Hathors, the guides I mentioned earlier, and other ascended masters, the path of mastery, it's all about mastering our third dimensional existence, about mastering our experience here on earth. And I know, sometimes things can be pretty crazy here on earth, especially right now. This is not the most outwardly joyous time that we've experienced on this earth. But yet, at the same time, it's all about perception. And we can make this a joyous time, if you haven't already. And that's part of our objective. That's part of the process of mastery. So how do we do this? The age-old question, it's really simple, but oftentimes it's not so easy. In fact, most of the time it's not particularly easy. But it gets easier as we practice, a little bit easier every time. And the thing about mastery is experiencing the events, the happenings, the emotions that we move through as they occur in our daily lives, but remaining in a space of unattachment. This is key The lack of unattachment is what creates what we call baggage. And we all know about baggage. And that ties back into your belief system. So, not to confuse this consciousness of unattachment, it's not detachment. Detachment is simply another form of denial. It's a tool that the ego can use to confuse us, to trick us sometimes into thinking that all is complete, that all is done, that all is okay. Denial is or detachment. It's like putting things on the shelf, pretending that it isn't there, that it didn't happen, or just simply trying to forget about it. And that doesn't work. That doesn't work. It's still there, and it affects everything you do to some degree. Some it will affect a lot, some it will only affect a little, but it affects everything that you do. So, things that cause these experiences that get anchored into our belief system, like abuse, trauma, post-traumatic stress. So moving into the belief system, as the belief system forms, by the age of 75% of our belief system is developed. 75% by the age of 5 years old. Some of that happens in the womb. It's visceral. Some of it is learned behavior that we experience. By 18 or 20 years old, another 20% of information goes into creating the belief system. And that brings us up to 95%. That's could be discouraging. So as the belief system develops, there are things that they're called triggers or buttons that are formed in the belief system. They're emotional triggers. I mean, we all know about triggers. We all know about buttons. We're coming up on the holidays. Well, go home for Christmas and see if any buttons get pushed. So, as these triggers are formed, the forming energy, it continues to be reinforced as events continue over and over. And then the button or the triggers get stronger and stronger and stronger. They get more and more intense. And as a result of that, we end up taking an action. And these actions become unconscious once the belief is formed. It's deep into our subconscious and oftentimes on into our unconscious. And without thinking, we just react. I'm sure that maybe some of you have experienced something like that. Someone will say something, or, let's say you're 5 years old and your mom and dad take you to the big city for the first time ever. And you're there, you're marveling, you're just in awe of the big buildings and all the cars and the traffic, and everything is it's all new. And you're at a street corner. You're not real clear on this red light, yellow light, green light stuff. And so you step off the curb and it happens to be a red light. Well, mom and dad freak out. They grab you, they yell at you to get back on the curb, pull you back onto the curb, kind of harshly. And you begin crying, possibly, because it scared you to death. And the thing is, now mom and dad, it was very innocent what they were doing because they were trying to save you from any harm. But as a 5-year-old, that's extremely traumatic. That's literally a form of PTSD that begins to develop. And a person may begin to develop beliefs like big people yell at you. You know, they're intimidating, they're scary, they physically hurt you. And beliefs like that begin to develop as a result of events that occur in that manner. And again, mom and dad didn't mean any harm. They were trying to protect you. But that's not how it's seen by a 5-year-old. And so again, 75% of our belief system is developed by that point. And then we continue on. And as other things occur that might fit in a similar category, then we begin to build intensity around those beliefs. And those buttons begin to form. You're in school and the principal, you get called to the principal's office. You get nervous because that's a big person in authority, and what are they calling you in for? What's going to happen? I know that happened a lot to me, so I can use that as an example. Some of you, that might not have occurred, but something else I'm sure has. So these events and the automatic response that we get, they're called automatic critical responses. And then, as I mentioned before, an action occurs. And these triggers are created. Another thing that happens, talking about abuse. When we experience abuse, we of course build beliefs around that people aren't trustworthy, that we experience a level of fear. And that's something that if we don't resolve it, will literally affect everything in your life in some degree or another. And around abuse and any other significant belief that we experience, there's something that occurs. A soul fragmentation occurs. And we put up walls, particularly in situations like abuse. We put up walls to protect ourselves. We actually may go into a sense of denial to try and survive. The walls it's a survival mechanism. But the thing is, and at the time, they protect us. The thing is every time we have that experience or put up a wall of that nature, a soul fragmentation occurs. A piece of our soul fragments off. And then we continue on through life and wonder why we sometimes don't feel whole. You know, that we feel like we're incomplete, or that there's a hole within us, and we try and fill it with things. That's because there is a hole. And that hole has been created as a result of the soul fragmentations or the blocks that we've put up to protect us. And as we get into more adult life, these blocks begin to, or these beliefs that have been created initially to protect, they begin to work against us. And if you find yourself having a hard time letting go and getting close to someone, well, that's what's happening. That's what's going on. Other things that might occur as you're growing up. You know, you might have come up in a family where there was no hugging that was going on. You know, no sharing of affection. You know, maybe you didn't talk about feelings. You might have had an alcoholic parent or abusive parent, broken promises that occurred, you know, being promised something and it never happened. I had an alcoholic father, and my mom and dad were divorced, and oftentimes it would be his turn to come for the weekend to pick me up, and he wouldn't show up. And so as a result of that, we begin to build beliefs around people aren't trustworthy. You know, they don't stand by their word. They break their promises. Sense of abandonment, whether it be emotional or physical, or double messages. And we may create a belief like you're not good enough. Well, if I was good enough, they would show up. They wouldn't lie to me. They wouldn't break their promises. They wouldn't abuse me if I was only good enough. If I could just do better. And we build beliefs that like that deep down. And as life goes on, a lot of times things will happen in current daily life and we don't even connect it to that because it's such a long string of events and experiences in between. But that's really where it's coming from. So by the time we're, up to that 20 years old period, we've only got 5% of our belief system left to work with. For the rest of our lives, that's not saying too much. Unless we consciously make a change. And that's what we're able to do through the work that we experience, through the belief system work, through the holographic sound blended with belief work. And there's something really significant about belief work that is a key part of the process. And that is forgiveness. And forgiveness is a really misunderstood concept. We're told probably all through our lives we should forgive, but yet nobody tells us how to do it. That's just great. And the thing about forgiveness, we've also kind of passively been taught, well, if you forgive, it means you must have been wrong. Or you did something wrong again. You weren't right. That's not it at all. Forgiveness is about setting you free. It has nothing to do with the other person. It doesn't acknowledge that one person is right or one person is wrong. It's simply saying, I'm tired of this crap, and I'm going to let it go. So I'm just going to forgive that person for whatever they did and move on with my life. I don't care anymore what they're doing with their lives. God's will be done. But I'm going to forgive them because I do care about my life. And I want my life to become more fulfilled. And I want my essence and consciousness vibration to rise. And so I'm going to forgive them and move on and move into a higher state of love. So as we move on, let's make a change. Let's make a change in this now. Utilizing the power of holographic sound, let's make an initial and significant change. So what I'm going to ask each of you to do at this point is to set an intention for yourself. That intention could either be about an emotional pattern that you want to transform, that you want to shift, whether it's more on an unconscious level or even or a subconscious or even an unconscious level. If you have any awareness about it, something or a behavior that you have done over and over and have not been able to shift or transform, set an intention for yourself to make this the day, to make this transformation. It could also, if not something emotional, a belief or patterning, something physical. If you've got something physical going on that you would like to transform, that you would like to see what we call healed, set that intention for yourself. And whichever, whether it's physical or emotional, that aspect, that physical aspect or belief, you must visualize or imagine it in its transformed or healed form or experience. So whatever it is, sense, imagine, and feel yourself free from that. The very best you can. Seeing or sensing or feeling or imagining that is no longer part of you, no longer a part of your life's experience. I want you to imagine what life would be like with this being gone. If it's physical, see yourself doing things that you haven't been able to do as a result of the physical hindrance. See yourself doing it now. If it's something emotional, maybe it's to do with relationships with others and not being able to fully share your heart, not being able to fully trust. See yourself taking that step, that leap, and trusting in your heart opening. See that, sense and feel that happening. Imagine that it's occurring now. So, imagine yourself doing it now. And we're going to move into a sound experience, and we're going to set the vibration and bring the energy, bring the essence, bring the vibrations through to make this transformation for you now. And I know this is pre-recorded. Don't let that hold you back. Because on a higher consciousness level, when we work and move into the higher dimensional energies, there's no time constraints. There's no past, present, future. It's all right here and right now. And the sound vibrations that come through now are here for you now, no matter when you listen and experience to this. So let's do that now, and remember to carry this even further and deeper. Allow yourself to move into the later offering, creating that portal into higher dimensional consciousness through the holographic Merkaba, through the light body, and experience more holographic sound activations. So, I'm going to stop and shift the transformation right now, or the presentation right now, and we're going to move into the sound experience as we move to completion. So don't forget, set your intentions, whether it be physical, emotional, or both. Seeing yourself in a completed form as whatever it is that we're transforming today, that it's done right now. See it right now. Imagine it right now. So, here we go. Okay. So as I mentioned, set your intentions for emotional or physical transformation. See it done now as the sound comes through to assist in your transformation. I invite you to close your eyes. Just begin to focus on your breathing. And as you do, visualize or imagine a beautiful sphere of light around your body right now, filled with the brilliant white light of God, of the divine, of the universe. Perfect health, perfect harmony, perfect balance, joy, all fill this sphere of light. Now around us all, a greater sphere. Through the center of this sphere is a shaft of golden light. Just imagine this. For above, it connects to the God source. Below, connecting to the heart center of Mother Earth. And from your heart, a beam of white light to that central shaft of gold. Just imagine this, knowing that you connect from your heart to the God source, to the earth heart, to the spherical holographic energy. And as we connect to one another from heart to heart to heart, acknowledging the presence of your higher self and all masters, guides, and teachers working with each of us now. Reaffirming your intentions as the sound vibration fulfills its part. As you breathe, just allow yourself to move in to the sound experience. Allow yourself to journey upon the sound current. Imagine yourself in a perfect, healthy, harmonious space, physically and emotionally, as you breathe. vibration to come through your crown with the essence, the energy of the Gayatri mantra as it illuminates every cell in your body in harmony and joy and goodness and balance and good health. As you breathe, Savetor Verienia Morgute Vasya De Mahi Yo Yona Racho Jaya Savitor Verienia Morgute Vasya De Mahi Yona Racho Jaya Savetor Verienia Morgute Vasya De Mahi Yo Yona Racho Jaya Morgova Esvaha Tat Savetor Verienia Morgute Vasya De Mahi Yo Yona Racho Jaya Om Bhurbhuva Svaha Savetor Verieniam Morgute Vasya De Mahi Yo Yona Racho Jaya Om Bhurbhuva Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya Om Morgovana Svaha Tatsavetor Verieniam Morgo Deva Shade Mahi Yo Yona Prachodaya And as you breathe, wherever you are, it's time to return. With every breath that you breathe in this divine essence, this life force. Every breath. And as this divine essence moves through your being, moves through your body, transforming all that is intended right here, right now, illuminating every cell in your body in harmony, in wholeness, in balance. For it is done now. Intentions set and met now. It is complete. And as you breathe, being present right here, right now, in this moment. Right here, right now. And when you're ready, just open your eyes, knowing it is done, knowing it is complete. And so it is. I want to thank each of you for being here, for your essence, for your energy and vibration in creating the sounds that come through. For it's all about you in this experience. It's all about the essence, the energy, the vibration that you bring to create the sounds that come through, that are in highest good for each of you. So be it. Thank you for your vibration, for your presence, and I hope that you will join me in the offering that's coming up, creating your portal into higher dimensional consciousness. And this is through the holographic Merkaba light body. And this is, again, a holographic sound activation experience. Join me in this experience. Also, those of you that join me in this extended experience, I'm offering a $75 discount for the holographic sound healing trainings that occur, the certification trainings. So you not only get to experience the power and the essence as you move into the portal of higher dimensional consciousness, but you also get the opportunity and benefit of a discount for the holographic sound healing certification training. So thank you all very much. Many blessings, and I hope to see you soon somewhere down the road.
Hey, I've got some questions. Wow. You want to come forward and then we can talk, or you want to talk from there?
I'll come forward.
Cool.
I can do that. Just for you, David.
Thank you. That was wonderful. Wow. So, the questions I have are about your sessions, because, you know, we've gotten 400. Oh, we got a little echo. Turn it down.
Should be okay now.
Okay. Yeah. The question I have is, we've got over 400 doctors and sound therapists creating treatments for addiction and PTSD and grief, and they're posted on the Medical Sound Association site, and also the students over 10 years. And so I'm really interested, because you look like you're a master at this and been doing it a long time with the sound. What is the order of your sessions? Do you do sound in the beginning, or do you talk with the person and then do sound? What's the order of how you do the session? This could be helpful for people.
Well, it depends on the nature of the session, for one. First thing I do definitely is speak to them. We'll take some time and talk initially just to see what's going on, to see what's happening, and set our intentions accordingly to what it is they want to experience and transform. And then we'll move into the sound experience. And we'll do the first part just sitting and talking, very casual. If it's long distance, then we'll do that part over the phone. And back to in person, and then I'll have them lay down on I use a massage table, and then I move into the sound experience and go through that. That lasts about 40 minutes. And then on the other end, we'll discuss again what experience when I'm going through a sound healing experience, the chakras will tend to talk to me. They will share with me different things, whatever they're expressing, blockages or patterning that or the origin. See, the thing about the belief system, just quickly, it's not so much the belief that it's not that we go in and focus on the belief to make it change. We go in and focus on whatever built the belief in the first place to transform that and shift the perspective of that experience. And as a result of that, then the belief changes.
Cool.
And so from that point, then as I said, the chakras will talk to me as I'm moving through a session. And I'll express whatever came up for me in that session upon completion. And I have them in a hopefully as sedated a state as possible, during the session, because I don't want them involved. I want them to just experience.
Cool. Excellent. We do a thing in the class where we actually have people state their negative beliefs, and then we turn them around backwards, and then make the sound of it.
Oh, that's cool.
But you can't just say, "Oh, I'm loving all the time," right? Because your subconscious won't believe it, right? So you have to turn it around in a way that your subconscious will believe it. Like, my essence is love, right?
And the thing about just a simple statement like you're saying, I would have them go deeper into it. So, well, what exactly does that mean? Give me an example of that occurring. And then from there, it's like give them something, not just an ambiguous statement of, I have a low self-worth of myself. Right. It's like, well, why? Tell me something about what is it that suggests to you that you have a low self-worth? What happens when you experience that feeling? Nice. Get them to tie into something tangible.
Excellent.
And then that's what I do.
Excellent.
And I like that concept and that process that you use to take and turn that around. I mean, cool. I do something very similar in my own words and my own way.
I love it. So, I have to tell you, about a year and a half ago, I was talking to a psychic, and he said, "Here's your spirit guide," and then he said, "Okay, the Hathors are here." And I'm like, "Okay, yeah, they've been hanging around the school." And they said they wanted to build a super highway between my pituitary and pineal gland over the next 4 years. And I said, "Okay." And now my intuition has gone off the deep end, and of course they show up in sessions as well. So it's really interesting because it's like listening to you talk about the Hathors. I had a little resistance, right? It's like, oh my God, it's like, am I weird, right? And then, whereas normally I don't. It's so funny.
Well, why would you think that?
I don't know. Actually, I think it comes from there's a large part of me that wants to bring sound healing into the mainstream, into hospitals. And we're working very, very hard to do that. And any mention of Hathors does not help do that, right?
I understand that. And if I were in a hospital, I wouldn't be talking about the Hathors and the other ascended masters. Right.
But here's the question, actually. When people call in these higher beings, like what you were doing, the energy of it is beyond a normal session, right? I mean, there's something going on, right? And it's like you go in. I went into this bubble of light. It's like it's amazing, right? And it's like, so I think, okay, how do people get to a place where they can access these higher beings, including Source, which is the big kahuna, right? It's like, I mean, the higher beings are just intermediaries on the way to Source. But exactly. Still, any thoughts how did it come in for you?
Well,
It was just like bing.
I might be an exception. In
Uh-huh.
I've been around weird energies since I was about 8 years old.
Oh, okay.
And not that I was very standoffish for a long time, but it's like I was curious. And then as I got older, then I would dabble in little things like I'd go get my chart done, my astrological chart done, and get the information there, and go to a psychic or reader, and some channeling experiences and stuff like that. And it would just like edging up, a little bit at a time, and see the more I learned about these other energies, I mean, it's like it's really undeniable that there's other stuff going on. You look at Eastern religion, Eastern practices, they talk about that everything exists around us right here and right now. All these different dimensions and everything, they're all right here. They're not somewhere else. They're not up in
Right.
heaven or down in hell or whatever. It's all right here, right now.
It's funny, even Christianity totally believes in angels, right?
I know. I know.
In fact, just about every single religion believes in angels. They
Well,
just,
and even um, Judaism,
hmm.
they're big on angels.
Uh-huh, right.
Islam,
Isn't right? They've got their
big on
angels.
angels. In
Yes.
fact, was it? I think it was Gabriel that channeled a lot of the Quran.
Uh-huh. I love it. I love it.
It's
Okay,
it's crazy.
so this is, what I tell people is I believe the more you go to a place of peace and stillness and make that your normal vibration, the more chances these higher beings are going to connect to you, because they can't handle you jumping around. They need a stable vibration to connect, right? And also the other that I learned from basically from Doreen Virtue is just ask. They're sitting
Exactly.
up there bored. They're bored to death, right?
Yeah.
This just
It's like
come
they're
on, ask. They can't do anything, right?
they're
Yeah,
twi-
come on, ask. Okay, now we're going.
they're twiddling their thumbs, waiting
Right,
for
right.
you to call on them. It's
Yeah.
like they really are. It's so weird, They're like they're at our beck and to call.
I love it.
Yeah,
May the veil get thinner and thinner so we're all in connection with these helpers, right? Which are all about universal love and
yeah,
oneness.
yeah. And
Right?
when I'm in a situation, you mentioned the hospital. Um, I try and I still call them in. I just don't necessarily do it out loud.
Secret.
Yeah, yeah. It'll be our little secret. Um, but I will search for words and ways to acknowledge them without freaking anybody out.
Cool, cool, cool. Yeah, with the kids in our Montessori project, instead of setting sacred space, we set safe space.
That's good. That's good. It's like whatever it takes.
Right, right, right.
Whatever it takes.
Well, thank you so much for your work and your music and sound. It was really, really just special, really
Good.
incredible.
Thank you. And
Yeah,
thank you for the invitation to be here
yeah.
and to be a part of this experience.
You're
Thank you.
welcome. Yeah.
And I hope that, that we're able to do more together in the future.
Cool. Thank you so much. I'm going to play the closing video now.
Okay.
This has been a presentation of New Earth One Network, your home for New Earth living. Visit newearth1.com.